Hey, Peso, welcome to the show. I appreciate you being here.
Hey, Lacey, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
This is a special treat for me. I think I was excited when I found out that you have done your own personally procured moves and made money. Or attempted to. We'll hear what's what with that in just a second. But before we get into it, I wanted to know if you would explain for people that aren't familiar, maybe new to the military, what a PPM is and what it might also be known as.
Absolutely. You bet. So DITY move is what it used to be called, like a do-it-yourself move. Now it's called referred to a PPM or personally procured move. And there's many ways that you can do a partial PPM or a fully procured move where you manage all the aspects yourself. But it's known by both terms in the military, kind of phasing out the DITY as those older hats like us kind of retire out and the new crop come in. So you'll hear both terms.
Yes, that's good to know that they're not different. They're the same thing. And I never thought about that because I was in a different time that people actually might be confused when people say call it a ditty. They might be think it's a different type of move. So that's a good point.
You bet.
So what made you decide to do one for like, and how many have you done?
So I've done two PPMs. The first PPM I did was just a light move. It was from Rhode Island to DC, and it was right after COVID. So it was 2021, right after COVID. You could not find a mover anywhere. If you signed up to have movers come to your house and have it done through Gypso, they were having trouble finding. And this is actually when the Department of Defense at the time started offering 100% compensation to do a PPM. And I said, well, shoot, I've been in the military long enough. I know how to manage. I do leadership things all the time. Let's throw our hat in the ring and try this out. So my wife was on board, and I said, we are going to do this whole thing ourselves. It was different than just going and getting a U-Haul, which is an option. You can get a U-Haul, shove everything in the U-Haul. Can do a combination of multiples of these things, or just even tow a trailer behind your car and get paid for that weight that you move yourself. So I decided to go full in and more than just the U-Haul trailer, contract my own freight haulers. There's also, you can go full bore and have a company that you like. They'll come out of Missouri or Arizona, wherever they're at. They'll bring their team, pack your house, move you. That's the most expensive option. But we were looking for a financial, frugal option where we could benefit the most out of it. And I said, if I'm going to manage this whole thing, I'm sure as heck going to get compensated for all the weight that I'm moving. So that's the route that we took.
So it was, I'm sorry, what's gypso for people that aren't familiar with it?
Joint property, something,
It's the moving
something
system.
else. It is. It's the full
Yeah, okay.
Transcom out of Scott Air Force Base, Transcom Command, that they manage the whole system for pretty much all household good moves. And then you can PPM your own move, which is very important because you have to get into the right systems to get the right approvals before you just go move all your stuff. You have to be approved in the system to go do that. So I break it down into a pre-move, an operational move, like the ops were doing it, and then the post-move, all the things that you have to do. And there's some gotchas in there that if you do wrong, the number one is your weight tickets. If you mess up your weight tickets, all of that effort was for naught, and you can be stuck with the bill for yourself without reimbursement.
That's very scary. So you have to have attention to detail to do this.
Very much, yeah. And some people it scares away. I mean, the complexity of it, but it's a straightforward system. It's just a bureaucratic system. So if you know the ins and outs and you talk to the right people at the right time, which your leadership, your command sergeant, your commander, anyone in your chain should be able to get you to the right people and the right office to make sure that those things go in order. And remember, you're not the first person doing a PPM in any way, shape, or form. There's so many people that have done it. A resource that I rely on is there's a Facebook group, PCS Like a Pro. There's a lot of resources on there for all services, for all ranks, and you can grab some really great details out of that Facebook group. It's just one resource that I've used.
That's a great tip. I'll be sure to put links to that in the show notes for everybody. I'm glad that you brought up the different ways to do it because a lot of times people think even doing a full PPM, that they're going to have to get a U-Haul. They're physically going to lift the stuff into the truck themselves. And, if you're married with kids, I mean, that could test any marriage and family,
Oh yeah.
to do that. So that's another component of it is, like you said, your wife was on board.
Right. And that's a great point. I had a mentor who told me for every PCS, they would start with the phrase, look, things might get broken in this PCS, but we won't let it break us. So you've got to be together. You've got to be on board to make this happen. You mentioned earlier about planning. So pre-planning, we decided about 3 months out that that's what we were going to do. You cannot contract anything or do anything prior to having orders in hand. So that's one of the most important pieces is you need to have orders in hand after orders because that has a financial number on it, a fund site number on it for your move that you're going to attribute everything to. So just to make sure that I get it right, I did reference some of the items I had. I actually made my own um, kind of cheat sheet, just notes that I used on it, but you've got to make sure you get all the paperwork right in DPS. In the DPS system, that's ubiquitous for all services. So go into DPS and you're going to log in there that you don't want to do a household good move in HHG, you want to do a PPM move. When you set up your PPM, you're requesting the government approve you to do that move, and then you can start acquiring all the items that you're going to need for it. So about 3 months beforehand, we decided that we're going to PPM, and if we were going to do this full bore and we want to make the most amount of money off of it, we're going to do it the most frugal way possible. So we started cruising Facebook Marketplace. We know that PCS season, everyone comes in at the same time and they post boxes. Hey, just got done with our move. Moving company didn't pick up our boxes. Come get our paper and boxes. And so we did that for about 2 or 3 houses, and lo and behold, we had enough boxes. Another reason we decided to do it was we had been through 4 or 5 PCSs already. When companies show up, the packers show up, if they're packing your stuff right or not, if it's going to get broken or not, and no one cares about your stuff as much as you do. So and I'm proud to say our first PPM, 0 items were broken. We unpacked everything because we rolled it like the Packers did. We did use bubble wrap. One hot tip I will give you is get the shrink wrap. It's the roll of shrink wrap that you can kind of hand wrap things, and if it's going to break or not. Just throw it in a box; it's going to break. But if you pack it right and keep things from rubbing, I use that shrink wrap every week in my house now. Same stuff that Walmart uses to wrap things and Amazon uses to wrap things up. So we each got the same thing. Another pro tip, you can go to any moving company, go to their warehouse, and ask to buy a box of the brown packing tape. Like if you've PCS before, that packing tape is like the best tape on the earth. If you go to Walmart and buy the tape, it's going to come off of the cardboard boxes and things just go to havoc. So you can go buy for like $3 a roll or something. You could buy the same tape gun too. I bought the tape gun. I bought the permanent marker to mark all the boxes. I just mirrored what I already knew. We'd seen many times those packers show up to the house and do the same thing, and I, with confidence, said we can do it that good or better for Bear Basement. So that's what we decided to do. 3 months out, we started collecting boxes, and there's a great site. I think it's on the DPS site. It's a checklist, or I'm sorry, it's on military one source. If you go to military one source, which has, I'm sure you've talked about before, Lacey, on your
Yeah.
program, military one source, it actually has a PCS checklist. And 3 months out, start doing this, 2 months out, 1 month out, and it walks you through it. Turn off your utilities, all that kind of stuff. It walks you through things you wouldn't think of. So we used that checklist and started iteratively packing the house. Um, Pictures on the wall. I don't need them up for 3 months before my move. I can do that stuff early. It tells you what to pack and when, and that was a great, great help. And then having enough boxes and marking the rooms. I'll attribute this one to my wife. When you pack up your house, she bought a 12 pack of duct tape that's all different rooms and attributed a color to a room.
That's a good
So
idea.
every cardboard box in that room, everything packed in that room, green was the kids' room, purple was the kitchen. What even made this better is I'll get into it here in a second, but all the all the packers, all the labor that we hired, we just put a piece of duct tape above the room and it was purple, and they would unload all the purple into that room. I didn't have to waste time and like point where which one goes or read boxes or that stuff. It just went to the right spot.
Yes.
So anyway, that's how I started about 3 months out. And to keep our relationship together, we worked together nights, weekends. I had young teenage kids at the time, and I was going to profit off of this move. So I was going to reward their labor, and I hired my kids, at X amount of money, couple $100 to pack your room, couple $100 to unpack it, so they got to benefit from it as well.
That is a great idea. Great incentive to get everybody on board.
That's it. Yep.
Yes. Well, I think you make a really great point. I mean, stuff gets broken. Nobody cares more about your things than you do. And I always say, I got into a disagreement one time with some movers, and he was like,
No.
hey, lady, I move people for a living. And I mean, I couldn't even believe how quick I came back with it. I was like, I get moved for a living. And so you're
Right.
not on the other end when it's broken or it's missing,
Yeah.
so it's like, or it's disorganized. And I like the idea of it also not being absolute chaos, because everybody knows it's like pack out. Your whole world just gets flipped upside down. It's like they're doing
Yeah.
everything in 1 day or 2 days, and then the move out, and you know, trying to figure out where everything is. And you want it, on the other end, it's also going to be chaos. So the better you can control it on this end, it might be a
Right.
better receiving side of things. So I love that you guys had a plan. And so that was one of my questions, is how long you plan out for 3 months, but how long do you plan out the finances of it all? Because you are paying the money for this up front, right? And then you get reimbursed from the government. So you have to
That's
also
right.
have cash on hand to be able to do that, or the financial
You
means to
do.
do it.
You do, absolutely. I would not recommend credit cards for this because if you do get delayed on your reimbursement payment, those interest rates kick in, and now you're just fighting against yourself. And so the incentive starts to wear away by itself. We did thankfully have a reserve built up in savings that we could do that. We used our rainy day fund that we could finance that ourselves. Um, it's there's rules. You got to check the JTR, right? And all of this is subject to change. The last time I did a PPM was 3 years ago, and the JTR gets updated, the rules and regulations get updated. So please recommend everyone go to their gypso office and talk with your counselor and make sure that all of these items are still legal for one, for what you claim. And if you can put it on your government travel card, also wouldn't recommend that, but that at least will have a longer stay on it, or a longer in PCS status, the payments on that to go back. You can also request through the gypso office on your orders. When you cut your orders, you can request an advanced payment, so you can advance on the payment so that you can have funds available. If you don't have a rainy day fund available, definitely talk with your commander and your first sergeant, your first shirt, to make sure that you're doing it correctly. If you get the finances in order, the stress goes way down. But if you're extending everything or you're extending payments to do it, it might not be a good option for you. There is another gotcha to it as well, that if you contract, it's all based on weight. Everything is reimbursed on weight. I chose to use a freight company. So everyone's probably seen the U-Pack, the ABF U-Pack trucks. It's a 28-foot kind of short semi-haul truck. Those are freight haulers. I actually found Estes, Estes. Estes was a much better rate. They also they did a military discount. The great thing about my situation, I did twice. Again, there's multiple ways to do this, but I went online and I booked Estes freight haulers, and it's a freight truck. So you pay per the foot of truck that you use, and then it also has rails that come down the truck so you can utilize everything up to the ceiling. So I booked a full truck. Second PPM, I actually used a truck and a half. So I used something around 58, 60 feet of the Estes truck, and they drop off the truck at your location. So if you're in an apartment complex, something like that, you might need to coordinate. If you're in a house or an HOA or just neighbors, hey, can I have this truck in front of your house for 2 days? So the way that I did it is I started packing my house 2 months out, I booked a truck, a freight truck to drop off in front of my house. They drop it off. You get 2 days to pack the truck, and then they come and pick it up. It's got a ramp, it's got everything installed in it, and they'll give you a weight ticket for an empty trailer. So there's your first weight ticket that you need. Then they'll also, if you request and say it's a military move, they will take it to their certified scales and give you a full tare weight as well. So you'll have the two weight tickets from them. You got to be adamant about it though, because they're freight haulers. They don't get down to the pound. You're going to be down to like the hundreds of pounds in it. But if you're moving a family and dogs and everything, a full house, you're going to be overweight. Best thing about a freight company, they don't care about what weight you have. If you're overweight, you're not paying. You're just paying per foot of the trailer. Other companies, if you do a full service, if you contract your own full service move, and you have a company come in and packers come in, you might be over your reimbursement amount. Or as we know, if you do household goods, the government will only reimburse that company up to your allotted weight, which you can look that up on Google or on government websites for what your allotted weight is. If you go over that weight, you're going to end up paying that company out of your own pocket for household goods. So it's all based on your weight. Freight company didn't care. The U-Haul pods, if you get a U-Haul pod or just pods, pods is actually a little more expensive than U-Haul pods. Fun note, on my second one, I did use a U-Haul pod for some overage stuff I forgot about in a storage shed. I went and dropped it off at U-Haul, and I saw U-Haul putting the U-Haul pods in the back of a 52-foot Estes trailer truck. I was like,
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
they also because it's freight, and they just contract freight to contract freight. If you've ever watched, what is it, the freight show of Storage Wars, the reality show of like haulers or whatever that show is, it's kind of the same thing. Everyone's paying to move weight somewhere. Best part about Estes is you pay them, but they do all the driving. So you pack the trailer and then you unpack the trailer, but they drive it to wherever you need it dropped off, and then you can request the drop off date, which I really liked. Another thing, Lacey, to your previous question on what made you decide to do it, the whole new system on we'll tell you, give us a 7-day window and we'll tell you when your movers are showing up.
Yeah,
I,
that's a really good point.
there's a lot of fits about that. And you hear horror stories all the time, right? About household good moves and just military. And the government is working diligently. I will give credit to our joint spouses, even our Air Force spouse, our command team spouses. They've worked diligently in the past years to work with Transcom to really get legislation and procedures changed so that it benefits the mover or the family. And
Yeah.
we're in the driver's seat of our move instead of it being kind of, put on our own plate and they tell us when we can move our stuff. So I will give credit to the system. It's gotten better, but it hasn't gotten perfect. And you can look at a lot of go talk to any military spouse and you'll hear the horror story of trash being packed with my kid's trumpet, and they just packed the whole bathroom including the trash can. So
They put
we
wet
we
towels in mine. I
yes,
had
yes,
separated them. You did the whole thing, like tell them don't take these or whatever. And they
right.
took
Or hey,
wet towels.
this pile of stuff, like I need that when I show up. We're gonna pack that in our trailer. Don't and it's on the truck. And you're losing your mind to do this. So we decided to do it very systematically and planned out, and it worked out well for us twice. Um, only one thing was broken, and that was my fault. But talking about insurance with freight movers, freight haulers, you can also purchase insurance through through the carrier that you're going to use. And then your own personal insurance kicks in as well. If you have USAA or State Farm or any of that, your renter's insurance or your homeowner's insurance, that can you can leverage that as well for a total loss if the truck for some reason flips over. Or we've all seen the picture on the CBT of the crate falling off the boat and then it's
Oh, yes.
floating in the water. So there is total loss protection for you in this. So you're not on your own. You're still covered under insurance with a PPM.
Okay, I have a question about freight. So when you're saying freight, you're talking about like a shipping container, not like a moving company like with a brand name in their truck.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
So Atlas, right? You see Atlas trucks or some of the other big names that are on the road.
Yeah.
Those are independent contractors, some of them, that they contract with the big company. A big thing lately that was going around, Lacey, recently was on PCS like a pro. If you try to contract your own move and type it into Google once, do one search, and you're going to have all the ads on socials hitting you up for, oh, hey, this person, they might show a good rate at first, but they're just a middleman, and they're going to do the same thing the government does, is they're just going to farm it out to the lowest bidder and take a cut right off the top. So sometimes they're not even reputable companies. You might pay a deposit and never hear from them again. So there is still safety in doing a household goods move with the military, with GIPSA, with Transcom. They provide the uniform member a level of protection and kind of reassurance. It might not be smooth, but if you're really nervous, or maybe it's your first time moving with the military, go learn that system first. Or brand new lieutenant just starting out, throw stuff in the back of a 10-foot U-Haul. Go get it weighed, try it out, and see how that works out for you.
Yeah.
But just please reach out to resources. The worst thing you can do, and I asked a bunch of people, I asked contacts and I looked at message boards, and I got truth data. I truly wanted to do it right, but I wanted, oh, that feeling of I better make sure I get paid because I'm showing the bills here. And back onto my personal story, Lacey, is I couldn't load the trailers. I can't move a 4-bedroom, 2-story house by myself. Like the furniture, all that stuff. Um, so I used U-Haul, but not for the truck. I booked dollies with U-Haul. I went and rented pads. You can still rent even without a truck. You can rent, 2 dozen, 12 dozen moving pads to wrap up your dressers and furniture and protect everything. And then you just turn them in at the next place you're moving to. But there's another tab on uhaul.com that people typically miss, and it's labor. And so you go onto that labor section and put in your zip code. It will show you all of the moving companies around you, or just independent contractors, or workers, laborers, managers who put their name out there. The best part about it, through uhaul.com, they're licensed and bonded.
That is great.
So unlike hiring just someone off the street, right? Hey, can you come to my house, help me move some? And then they throw their back out and they sue you.
Yeah.
Through uhaul.com, that labor, you're protected. They have to be insured and bonded to make sure, so they show up to your property. And then you can put in your address, put in how many individuals you'd like for how many hours, and it spits out the quote. And then you pay through uhaul.com. So you're not just given your credit card or check or someone, you have a receipt. It's documented. There's a paper trail, and it shows that you paid, and it's an authorized expense. So there's a lot of expenses of the money that you're going to make, right? So say you go into DPS, go into the system, you do an estimated move, you put in the weight that you estimate to move, and then it's going to spit out an estimated amount that you could make for that 100%. From that total, you're going to pay about 22 to 25% tax on, because it's an incentive pay. The government is incentivizing you to do your own work. So you're
That's
right
good
off
to
the
know.
right off the top, right? It might say $10,000, but minus 25% right off the top. But there are authorized expenses you can do that actually reduce the tax burden. So instead of paying 25% of $10,000, you're going to have to pay for boxes. You're going to pay for paper if you don't get them for free. Ratchets, straps, screws, electric screw gun, plywood. I actually bought plywood to put on top and blocking to screw into the floor of we moved a piano. So I didn't want it moving all around. So the freight hauler truck has a wooden floor, and you can just screw right in and put blocking and 2x4s to really block that in and strap it to the wall. Not a scratch on it. It was
But
great.
but you're in charge of knowing that you can do that, because I wouldn't have known that you could do that.
Yeah,
And then actually doing those things to secure your with it, because they're just dropping off that container
right.
in a
And
truck.
then you pack it. But I hired guys to show up to the house. The house was all packed. I just needed workers to help move boxes to load the truck. And you load the truck. I do have a piano, 2-story house. Then they give you, but you can see how much per hour it is, and you can pick, and they all have ratings, and you can go see 5-star, 4-star, wherever you want, and you do it on both ends. So I hired uhaul.com at my departing location, and then I booked them for my arriving location. And they showed up on time. They they were booked, they confirmed customer service, confirming you're going to be there at what time to what time. The guys, when I moved here to Colorado, they actually showed up with two extra guys they didn't charge me for, just because they wanted to get the job done faster and then move to the next job. So
Perfect.
here, here's a big difference though. With if you are doing labor on open market, it is customary to tip. Unlike household goods, it tells you, you know, don't tip, it's all included. They get the, so we buy them pizza or buy them lunch or any of that other stuff. If you're contracting your own move, you're full contracting your own move, it is customary to tip individuals that you hire.
Yes. Okay. That's how do you weigh time versus money here? Because this is a lot of work and not asking how much you make, but like if you gave the example of $10,000, um, is it you could really make that kind of money? And like, how do you balance out like time planning this whole thing?
You can, and that's where your skill and comfort level comes into play. If you're comfortable doing it, my wife doesn't. She's not in the work field, so she stays at home to manage my kids. It was summertime when we moved, so they're not doing anything else. Get over here,
Yeah, you're
and
free.
they got sick of packing, like they really did. Um, but talk about singing for your supper. Like there's a lot of labor that goes into this. And I can imagine if it was more chaotic or truncated timeline or something inevitably will go wrong. But you do have to weigh in the cost. Like, what's this going to cost me, and is this worth the $2,000 we're going to make in the end? So some people say yes. Some people want to move their own baby grand piano, or maybe you don't want to do your whole house. Maybe you just want to move all your valuables in a 12-foot U-Haul trailer, and your high value items, you want to keep those close. So there's myriad of ways to do it. You just have to weigh that out for yourself and go on message boards, ask neighbors, ask other individuals, and then figure out for yourself, is this going to be financially viable for us to do on the front end? And is it going to be worth it on the back end? What they pay moving companies to move you is astounding. So my first move, it's all based on weight and distance. So if you max out your weight and you go across, Maine to California, that's going to be a pretty penny on that one. If you're doing a short move, and I have a lot of brand new lieutenants that I interact with, and I just throw this out there as an idea. Hey, maybe not a lot of stuff, just married, or maybe put all your stuff in the back of U-Haul, or try this, try this, try this, and it works out for them. They message me back and say, "Hey, sir, I made 2 grand. I net 2 grand. So it's not
Yeah.
like the casino, like, oh, I won. I won
Yeah.
$1,000, but I put in two. It's actually net cost, or net
Take home.
what take home. You got it
Yeah.
after all your expenses. But all the expenses that you pay for, so labor you can write off, um, all the packing material. There's a whole list of items that lowers your overall burden of tax. So you don't pay tax on the whole 10,000. You only pay tax on 5,000, and so that lowers that amount and keeps more in your pocket.
I love that. There's what are some things that people should be aware of or sometimes that they forget? Like you mentioned the weight tickets, which is always something to be even if you're doing a partial, like and you're carrying it in
Yeah.
your car. Because we always did a partial because we always wanted the pack and play because you want your
Oh, you
stuff for
need
your
it.
family, so
Yeah.
whatever a bouncy seat, whatever it is you need to take care of your kids as soon as you arrive, we would always bring those things. And early, we didn't realize, like, wait a minute, we could get paid to haul this stuff. Like, we were already doing it, loading down both vehicles. So it's like,
Right.
why don't we, try to do something here? But what are some other things that people should watch out for, or maybe mistakes that people make when it comes to PPM?
You bet. So orders are a big one. You have to have orders first because you have to have that fund site on there. Um, Being sure that in DPS in the system that you have an approved PPM. Um, you can mark partial, or you can mark full PPM. So you've got to know which one you want to do beforehand before you get approved to do that. The other one's weight tickets. Not only just having the weight tickets, but every service has something different and specific you need to write on the weight ticket or have input on the weight ticket. For instance, the year, make, model, and color of the vehicle that's towing the trailer. If you don't have kind of that designated information on there, it's got to be a certified scale as well. You can't go to Jim Bob's. You know, cat is a universal, across. So it's got to be a certified Department of Transportation scale that you're using, and you just pull it up. It's easy to find. You just have to know that you have to find it first and do that right. And then reimbursement, making sure that your receipts are accurate, making sure that your accounting is accurate, and that you meet the deadlines and timelines that you're supposed to. You're not on your own on this. If you decide to do a PPM, either a partial PPM or a full PPM where you manage your entire move by yourself, you have counselors available to talk to you. Um, with the new system that Transcom is using, you do have an assigned member who talks to you. You get a verbal consultation with a member who tracks your move and manages your move. They're still available to you with a PPM with questions. You're still a military member moving. So there are resources for you to reach out to and ask these questions to, not just, I know everyone says Chat GPT, right, or Gemini or Grok, or yeah, but that data can be 5 years old. So you're better off using the counseling services that are provided to you and those GS employees that are paid to help you. And they truly do want to help you and make sure that your move is the least stressful and the best managed that it can be. So definitely use those resources.
Yes, I love that. I'm a big fan of people earning their paycheck. They do that all day long. That is their zone of genius, and they know the ins and outs of it. They also know people at other duty locations, those type of things. I want to ask one final question because I could talk to you about this all day long. But
You bet. Yep.
looking back, is there something that you would never do again on a PPM? Like, it's like, ooh, that was just too much. And when you said moving a piano, that
Mm.
was what I was thinking. But is there something else that maybe you wouldn't recommend in the process?
That's a really good question. Both of mine went amazingly smooth. And that's not a credit to myself. That's really a credit to my wife. She did just phenomenal work on this and helping out, and she caught a few items that I wasn't quite clear on. So huge shout out to her. She's an amazing woman. Um, I I would say using buddies. And I know it's the easy go-to, it's kind of the easy button. Whether it's your church group or guys down the street or guys in your unit or squadron, um, if you do it right, you're gonna be compensated pretty well. I'll tell you, on our last move, it was from the East Coast to Colorado, and we net enough money that we bought a kid's car out of it. And so I
Wow.
mean, it was a good chunk of change that we were able to benefit our family with. We worked for it. But if you're benefiting that much off of a PPM or a move, and you ask guys to come over and help for free, or buy them pizza, sodas, all that stuff. But leveraging those groups, again, no one cares as much about your stuff than as you do, right? You care about it the most. So if you're asking for free labor, you might get free results from it.
Yes.
So that's something that I'm very cautious of, just personally, on who am I leveraging with extra and to what benefit. So I'll pay buddies to come help, right? Or all teenage kids or guys from high school or from church youth group. Definitely, give a few bucks their way. But really, just leveraging free labor. If you want it bad, you're going to get it bad. So
Yeah, I like that idea though. I'm a big fan of spouses. So like spouses group, that was my secret. Like, hey, even just on a household goods move, is that everybody there, all spouses, they do this all the time, and so but it's just more eyes. That was always the problem. Is like,
yeah,
how did this happen? It was like, oh, I wasn't in the room when they were
right,
packing this, and so it's
right,
like, just come over. We'll have ladies' night and hang out while together, and just I need more eyes. So I'm not asking you
yeah.
to touch anything, lift anything. It's just you see it, you say something. You see them
And
throwing a toilet cleaner on top of the dishes, like, say something.
no, yeah, and you hear the horror stories as well. From you don't know the background of the movers. I pick companies that do background checks on their movers, but you hear the stories of items getting stolen, or there's a valuable closet. You really do need to secure yourself, right? You're letting people into your home, into your personal life with all your valuables. It is okay to secure your belongings
Yes.
and to demand that and have oversight of everything that's going on with your personal items. So have a home safe. Keep that tucked away in a closet, right? Have it locked. Put it in your car. Do all of those things that everybody tells you to do, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to do that, but then you just don't. So I love the idea of other spouses and people coming out to watch and help. Also, from the other side, we do this really well in the military. Help each other out, right? If you know
Yep.
someone, family's moving, bring them lunch, right? Just find a way, not, hey, how can I help? But just do it. Just pitch in. If you have the opportunity to, bring a meal over, some Subway sandwiches, or oh my gosh, watch kids,
Oh, yes.
toddlers for a play date. That's a huge one. Just that stress alone of having kids running around the house. I remember making, cardboard box forts of all the boxes. Fun times, great memories
Yeah.
as a military kid growing up. But never realized how stressful that truly was for my parents until I did it with kids. And I thought, oh my gosh. So if you have the opportunity to help out, just do a little something, it does go a long way for your fellow member.
Oh, I love that. So yeah, I'll work for a Diet Coke and a bag of Boom Chicka Pop. Like it's pretty basic.
100%. 100%.
Yes. Okay, I want to ask you a couple of quick random questions I ask everybody. First, what is
Please.
a resource or tool that you use that makes your life or your work easier?
Oh man. Um, for my personal life, it would be Rachel, my wife. She unbelievable resource. Knowledgeable, smart, is the only person that can kind of keep me in bounds for what it does, but she actually does all of our household finances.
That's awesome.
Um, she with a badge of honor, I can say that she could be robbing me blind, and I have no idea. But we have absolute trust. I mean, the person that you decide to pair with for life that's your most important decision of your entire life. So she boons me up, I hope, as much as I boon her up. But she's my resource, and she does so much work and scrolling and resource that allows me to do multiple other things for the family. So I know it's not probably wouldn't be answer for everybody, but that would be mine. Would be my wife.
No, that's a great one. And every military spouse listening is like, thank you for, they feel seen right now. So thank you.
Oh, you do so much, right? And it goes beyond just an 8.5 by 11 certificate saying spouse thank you.
Mhm.
But I literally could not do everything in my career without her. So with kids and family and moving and dogs and illness and sickness and all those things, and we're EF&P severe with her
Oh,
as
wow.
well. So TRICARE is really her job, appointments and doctors and all that stuff. And we can do a whole nother episode about
I
TRICARE
was
and,
gonna say,
and
might have
medical.
to, yeah, yeah. That's because that is a lot. Like that's a whole zone of that could take a lot as well of
Sure.
management. Make sure you're getting it right and not making mistakes. So I love
Yeah.
that one.
But she's my everything, my eternal companion. I love her.
Yes, no, that's great. All right, what is your favorite book right now, or your favorite book of all time?
Ooh. So I've got a few. Pilot Math Treasure Bath is a book. Not sure if you've heard of it. Two C-17 pilots got together, wrote a book. It's all based on the FIRE principle, the financial independent retire early principle, and it gears it. It's very understandable. It's got some relatable stories in it. So Pilot Math Treasure Bath is one of them. Simple Path to Wealth is another one that I always recommend. Audiobook on 1.5 speed. Highly recommend that one.
Yeah,
And then
that's a good idea.
favorite book of favorite book of all time, As a Man Thinketh, written in the late 1800s, and it talks about your mind as a garden, and what you think is what you say. What you say is what you do, is your actions, and your actions are what you become, and what you become is your destiny. So it all starts with your mindset and how you weed and tend to your garden. And what goes in definitely comes out. So managing your thoughts, and then your thoughts drive your words and your actions and eventually your character and who you become.
Those are all really great recommendations. I will be sure to link to those for everybody listening so they can check them out. I think I will be getting two of those. One of them I think I've already
Excellent.
read. So, but okay. Now it's time for my favorite part of the Now it is time for my favorite part of the podcast, which is game time. And in honor of your visit, we're going to be playing PPM profit or problem. So I'm going to give you a
Ooh, excellent.
scenario. Yeah. You have to tell me if it's a problem or if you could profit off of it. So,
Okay.
and there's five. And if you get these correct, you get 3 out of 5 correct. You get bragging rights that you won game time on the MILMO Show, which is a really big deal.
I'll take it. Let's do it. I'm in.
Okay. Okay. First one, booking the cheapest rental truck without checking mileage fees. Is that a profit or problem?
Oh, absolutely a problem. That's like getting a lease deal with only 6,000 miles. It's not going to benefit you, and you are going to suffer greatly on that one.
Okay.
Go
Number
brand
two.
name. Go brand name.
Yeah.
Penske, U-Haul, go brand name.
Yeah. I feel like it's great when you're young. You have probably energy, but maybe not as much life experience in some of these
Hmm.
things. So you really, the point you made earlier about talking to people, asking questions, people that have done a PPM before within your unit or organization, I think that's a great idea. So, okay.
If I can, Lacey, I'll actually interject another one because this is a buddy of mine about 10 years ago. His first PPM as a lieutenant, he made enough money to buy a covered dual axle trailer. And so he spent all of his money and he bought that covered trailer, stored it on base, which is a cheap fee, but would rent it out and make a little bit of money off of it now and again. And then his next move, full PPM, he used his own trailer and just kept going from there. And so the asset he bought in the beginning became a moneymaker for him in the end. So there's ways to work it that you're going to move a couple times. And so he thought ahead on that, bought his own trailer, made money on it, and then use it as an asset to make money. So sometimes investing in yourself might be the better game.
Yes, that's a really great idea. We actually knew somebody that they were single, they didn't have children, just a married couple, and they PCS from Georgia to Alaska, and they used a covered trailer, and they did it like a month out. They just started loading it like on because they lived on post, and so it was secure. I mean, they would lock it at night
Yeah,
or whatever, but I don't think they took all of their furniture. I think they sold some of their furniture, but like they got a couch in there, they got dressers in there, their clothing, that type of thing. So but I love that idea because you renting it out like to people that are, because there's a lot of people that do in-town moves,
right.
so
You bring up a great point, and I'm sorry to interrupt the game,
yeah.
but there's just so much that you can do on this. Decide. You've got to make a decision. Is it worth moving this oversized couch, or can I sell it on Facebook Marketplace and then buy a new couch from IKEA for a couple $100 more? And so you can really liquidate. You can use if you want to live a simplistic life or you want to just purge a bunch of your stuff. PCS season is a great season to do that. Every 3 months, kind of reduce, shed some stuff. You don't need to take those curtains. Sell that window air conditioner unless it's really heavy. You want the weight. Keep
Yes.
keep the heavy stuff. Get rid of the
Yes.
bulky stuff.
Yes, the light stuff. Yeah, no, those are really great points. But yeah, I think understanding that it's a possibility. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I wanted to have this conversation is because a lot
Yeah,
of young service members don't know that you could do this and make money. It breaks my heart. I have coached so many people that have said, I'm deploying in order to I need to make money. Like we're in debt or so they're
yeah,
actually giving up time away from their family versus like, hey, we could all come together on this
right.
move and get ourselves out of debt
Yeah.
and work that
And
off. So I think,
that's a great stress reliever. Well, it's the best to be out of debt and to be debt free, such a stress reliever. And you can't get time back with your family. You can get another couch, you can get
right.
another, furniture set or bed set, but that time with your family, I've missed birthdays and we've all missed, right? As
Yeah.
military members, we've missed those things. And sometimes we're ordered to go, but when you're choosing to separate from your family to go make money or out of debt, it breaks my heart. And Lacey, thank you for your coaching
Oh,
that you do for military members because your tips and tricks and coaching and advice, it's one of those resources that, man, if you guys haven't listened to all these other podcasts on here, do so because
thank
Lacey, you've got some great great info in here. So
Thank you. I really appreciate you saying that. No, and this I just think is a really great you sharing your experience. So I really appreciate it. And there's a lot of great stuff in here. I think people are going to find a lot of value out of it. But okay, back to the game.
okay, second
So
question.
you got the first one right. Second question: saving every receipt in a folder and taking pictures as a backup, is that profit or problem?
Absolutely profit. And do it on a shared drive, on your Google Drive, on your OneDrive, upload. And picture, you are never going to go look at that picture again. And a picture doesn't help you, but a PDF does. So if you have Google Drive or if you have your OneDrive, you open up the folder, make your moving folder, make a receipts folder, and then scan it because it's going to scan it in as a PDF, which you can then attach to all your documents in DPS and claims and all that stuff. So it does the work for you as you go. And the organization of that is so much better. And now you're not worried about losing your folder of paper receipts. So
Yes, yes, that's a really good
profit,
point.
definite.
Yeah. Okay. Number three, waiting until 2 weeks before the move to price trucks and supplies. Is that a for profit or problem?
It's gone. You won't be able to 100%. And if you're in a small town, they're gone, right? Those trucks are gone. Even freight movers, Estes, ABF, U-Haul pods, there's a finite amount of those, and everybody knows when PCS season is in those windows. So summer or winter on your cycle to move, you've got to reserve that stuff early.
Yeah, yeah, it's moving season. Yeah, that's a good point. Okay. Number four, using credit card points for hotels during a PCS route. Is that for profit or a problem? This might be a
Ooh,
tricky one.
that is a tricky one because you could go both routes on that. You're going to run into trouble when you try to claim those rooms for the TDY. So using points, I would think of a PPM, I would frame it as a point gain system. So if you're going to pay for, if you have a Hilton card and you're state Hilton's or your Marriott and you stay with your brand, build points because the funds you spend on that are going to get reimbursed and you'll get to keep the points on it as well. It will make it so much easier if you just pay for it and have a receipt. So you don't have to do any type of conversion for points and then go spend those points on a cruise or um, some vacation or something to relax after your PPM.
Yes, no, that's a good point. Yeah, you just have to be responsible. Like there's some people that just they can't do that. It's too much temptation and they'll forget to pay
Yeah.
the bill or something like that. So, okay, number 5. And I wrote this out before the interview, so
Oh, wait, was
know
I right
that
or wrong? Sorry.
you already
Number
know.
four.
No, you were right. Sorry for number 4. You were
Okay.
right.
Phew.
Yeah.
Good.
It's profit if done responsibly.
Got it.
Um, okay. And number 5 is forgetting to get certified weight tickets. Is that a profit or problem? You already answered that one.
Oh man. Yeah, but it's worth reiterating again. Um, if you don't get tickets, you might as well do it all for free and all that
Yeah.
labor goes out the window.
Yeah.
So redundant tickets and make sure the tickets are correct and you have the right things written on them for Navy or Air Force or whatever branch you're with.
Yes, that's a really good point. Well, you definitely have bragging rights that you won game time on the MILMO show
Yes.
and shared a
Yes.
lot of great information while we played the game. So that's an added bonus. I
I'm I'm
really
I'm gonna I'm gonna text Thunder and tell her that I won on the show.
yes, yes. That is my sister, everybody. I haven't shared her call sign.
Oh,
Um
okay, sorry.
oh no, it's fine. I just yeah, so people know. But I really do appreciate you playing the game and being on the show. This is a really great discussion. I think people are really a lot more people might be doing a PPM this year or next.
I hope so. I hope so. And again, verify your information. Go to reputable sources. Hey, I heard it on this podcast. I'm going to do it. You got to go do your own research. You got to make sure. So there's my legal disclaimer right there.
Yes, no, that's a really great note to end things on. Thank you for the reminder. I really appreciate it, Peso.
Absolutely. Lacey, thanks for your time. Thanks for having me on.